Stress? The survival system that won't turn off.
Your brain doesn't want to kill you. It just doesn't know how to stop trying to save you. Every second, it's scanning for threats, ancient instincts running on modern software.
The amygdala, your brain's internal alarm, was built for survival in a world of teeth and claws. A rustle in the dark. A flash of movement.
One signal from that ancient circuit and your body would flood with adrenaline and cortisol, ready to fight or flee. But there's no predator anymore. Now, your threats have Wi-Fi, the same alarm that once saved your ancestors from lions. Now triggers when your boss emails you at 10 p.m., when your phone buzzes, when your bills pile up, when you scroll through news designed to make you panic. Your heart races, your pupils widen, your blood pressure spikes, and there's nothing to run from, nowhere to hide. So the energy has nowhere to go. It just stays trapped inside muscle tension, insomnia, and exhaustion that never fully lifts. Your brain thinks it's helping. It doesn't realize the enemy is imaginary. And because modern life never shuts up, the alarm never stops ringing. The HPA axis, the command chain between your brain and adrenal glands, starts to glitch. The all-clear signal gets jammed. Now, cortisol leaks into your bloodstream constantly, slowly corroding the very systems it was meant to protect. It weakens your immune system, erodes memory centers like the hippocampus, and hardens your arteries until your heart works like a machine under siege. Even your DNA starts to fray. Chronic stress shortens telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. Shorter telomeres mean accelerated aging, weaker repair, and a shorter life. All because your brain refuses to believe you're safe. The system was built to save you, but it's outdated. A fire alarm, blaring endlessly in a world that no longer burns. Your ancestors ran until the danger passed. You just refresh the feed. You're not built for constant alarm. You were built for fight and recovery, not fight and scroll. Your brain calls it survival. Your body calls it slow death. Sleep deprivation, when your brain starts eating itself. You think you're just tired, but your brain knows better. It's starving. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's maintenance. When you skip it, your brain's internal janitors, the astrocytes, start mistaking exhaustion for decay. They move in to clean up, pruning connections between neurons like gardeners trimming dead branches. Except you're not pruning, you're deleting. Those synapses hold memories, habits, and pieces of who you are. Meanwhile, your brain's drainage system, the glymphatic network, only activates when you sleep. It flushes out toxins like beta amyloid and tau, the same proteins that clog the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Miss enough sleep, and those toxins build up like corrosion on a circuit board, quietly shorting out your memory, focus, and self-control. Your prefrontal cortex, the logic center, shuts down, while the amygdala, the fear center, goes haywire. That's why everything feels louder, sharper, and more personal after a sleepless night. You're not just irritable, you're emotionally unregulated. And still, your brain keeps running, burning glucose it doesn't have, firing neurons it can't repair, consuming itself one exhausted impulse at a time. You don't just lose sleep. You lose stability, anxiety, the protection reflex that destroys you. Your brain's job is simple: keep you alive. It just doesn't know when to stop trying. Anxiety was supposed to be a signal, a burst of adrenaline to warn you about predators or cliffs. But your brain can't tell the difference between a lion in the grass and a deadline on your calendar. So it fires the same alarm: heart racing, lungs tightening, sweat pouring, over things that can't actually kill you. The amygdala, your brain's threat detector, activates even without danger. Then the hypothalamus floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol, tightening blood vessels, spiking your heart rate, and flooding your chest with electricity. You're ready to run, but there's nowhere to go. Chronic anxiety rewires the nervous system. It teaches your body to expect disaster and rewards you for surviving imaginary threats. Each panic that doesn't end badly becomes proof that worry works. And your brain learns worry keeps you safe. The result? You spend your life surviving threats that never existed. Your body pays the price. Depression, the energy-saving death mode. Depression isn't weakness. It's an ancient system collapsing under modern life. When your brain believes survival isn't possible, it powers down. It cuts dopamine, your drive. It suppresses serotonin, your mood. It shuts off motivation, appetite, and emotion to conserve energy, as if you're a wounded animal waiting for the storm to pass. For early humans, that shutdown forced rest after trauma or starvation. Now, it just traps you inside a body that mistakes stillness for safety. Your prefrontal cortex goes dim. Your limbic system, emotion and memory, takes control. You feel guilt, shame, and fatigue instead of fear or hope. The cruel part? The way out requires the same chemicals your brain brain has shut off. Exercise, sunlight, connection. The very things that help you heal are locked behind the walls your brain built to protect you. It's not weakness, it's survival gone wrong. A defense system that saves energy by stealing your will to live. Burnout, when your brain consumes itself. There's a point where your brain stops trying to help you and starts eating itself alive. Burnout isn't weakness, it's system failure. A neurological crash where your brain, flooded with stress hormones, starts dismantling itself just to stay running. It begins with your HPA axis, the partnership between your hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. Under normal conditions, they communicate in short bursts, a feedback loop that manages your stress response. But under constant pressure, that loop breaks. Your brain stops listening to its own all-clear signal. Cortisol floods your bloodstream non-stop, frying neurons and draining the glucose that powers your thoughts. At first, you feel wired, hyperproductive, focused, unstoppable. Then the crash comes. The prefrontal cortex, the command center for focus, logic, and empathy, starts shutting down to conserve energy. Decisions become impossible. Everything feels urgent and meaningless at the same time. Your amygdala, the fear center, takes over. Now even small tasks feel dangerous. You start dreading things you once enjoyed because your brain has reclassified effort as threat. Sleep becomes shallow, memory fades, your emotions flatten into static. The body tries to keep functioning while the mind quietly burns. And physically, the damage is measurable. Studies show prolonged burnout can shrink gray matter in regions that regulate emotional stability and self-control. The same chemicals that once sharpened your reflexes begin dissolving the very tissue that made you capable of joy. You don't just lose motivation, you lose access to yourself. The version of you that could focus, feel, or care is buried under exhaustion. Your brain mistakes for survival. Burnout isn't running out of energy. It's your brain trying to save what's left by shutting everything else down. You don't fade because you're weak. You fade because your brain can't tell the difference between overwork and mortal danger. Chronic pain, the false alarm that never ends. Pain is supposed to protect you, a warning that something's wrong. But sometimes the alarm doesn't stop ringing. When an injury heals, the body should stop sending pain signals, but the brain can get stuck in the pattern, replaying those signals even after the danger's gone. The nervous system becomes like a record with a scratch. The same signal plays again and again, etching the pain deeper each time. The longer it lasts, the more your brain learns to expect it. The neural pathways strengthen, the pain centers grow hypersensitive, and eventually, pain becomes the default setting. Your brain starts generating it from memory, a phantom echo of an injury that no longer exists. Every flare-up reinforces the lie. You're still hurt. Meanwhile, your stress hormones spike, your sleep collapses, and your nervous system begins treating harmless sensations as threats. Light pressure, temperature, even emotion. Everything starts to hurt. You're not imagining it. You're feeling a memory, a survival reflex that won't shut off. Your brain's trying to protect you, but it's trapped in its own feedback loop. It can't tell the difference between danger and recovery, so it fights shadows until you break. Addiction. The hijacking of reward. Your brain wasn't built for pleasure. It was built for survival. Every time you eat, achieve, or connect, your brain rewards you with dopamine, a spark of motivation that says, that kept you alive. Do it again. But the system is fragile. It can be hijacked. Drugs, sugar, gambling, and social media all cheat the code, flooding your brain with dopamine levels it was never meant to handle. The rush feels euphoric at first, but your brain panics. It adapts by lowering dopamine receptors to keep balance. And suddenly, nothing feels good unless it's intense. Not food, not friendship, not life. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that weighs consequences, begins to weaken, while your limbic system, the emotional engine, takes over the controls. You stop deciding. You start reacting. Chasing highs becomes the only plan that still works. Over time, addiction rewires your reward pathway, that delicate highway between the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens, until survival itself gets redefined. The brain stops rewarding what's healthy and starts prioritizing what gives relief, even if it's poison. And here's the cruel trick. Your brain believes it's saving you. It interprets withdrawal as danger and relapse as rescue. So the very chemical that once drove you to hunt, build, and connect now drives you to escape reality at any cost. Addiction isn't pleasure. It's survival reprogrammed. Your brain learning to crave its own destruction and calling it reward. The aging glitch. When your brain slowly self-destructs, time doesn't just age your brain, it dismantles it. Every thought, every decision, every heartbeat leaves microscopic damage. Over decades, oxidative stress builds up, a slow chemical rust eating away at neurons. The protective insulation around your brain's wiring starts to fray, and signals that once fired cleanly begin to cross and fade. Memory slips, reaction time dulls. Focus fades. Your brain reroutes what it can, but the repairs never keep up with the breakdown. Eventually, even the hippocampus, your memory center, begins to shrink. You don't just grow old, you unravel. Not because your brain hates you, but because it was never designed to last this long. Your brain's doing its best. Unfortunately, its best involves slowly destroying you. Every heartbeat, every thought, every reflex. It's all just your brain trying to keep you alive the only way it knows how, through fear, stress, and control. So, before it finishes the job, before it forgets why you're still here, hit subscribe while you still can.